Again, it's great to meet you. I would love to begin our conversation before we get into your work by asking you something that I know we're all getting tired of, which is COVID and the pandemic. But how did you survive that time period, and how has it changed the way that you do things now?
Oh, great question. So I'm a big Disney fan. In fact, I moved during COVID. I built a home in the Orlando area. My only criteria was I want to see the Disney fireworks from my house at night. So
Wow.
I'm like a mile off a Disney property.
Wow.
I can stand on my balcony and watch the Magic Kingdom fireworks. So at the time when COVID hit, I was living in Maryland, so DC metro area, but on the Maryland side. And I was working for a large global hotel company. And we were all working from home, obviously. And what I did was for just like a good mental health, I would either go for a run in my neighborhood or go for a really long walk. And I started listening to all these different Disney apps where I could listen to the park music and imagine that I was there because it's kind of sad. Like when you think about it, like normally Disney's open every day out of the year. So to know that it was closed for a couple months, you're like, wow, we've really locked down. I can't even go to Disney if I wanted to today, right? So
Yeah.
I'd listen to the Disney background music or the music from the attractions on these different apps. That was helpful.
Yeah.
And then I think but change during COVID was I really like Zoom. Like I'll Zoom hours with friends. It brought my team together more closely because my team was scattered between DC and Arizona. And so I think we deepened our relationships and we also became a stronger, better functioning team over time because we had no other choice,
Yeah.
right? But to come together.
That music, I remember being down there at Disney. It's so hypnotic, like everything they do. And, the beginnings of Disney started here in Kansas City. Like I just drove by Walt Disney's first studio, which is in Midtown. And one of my best friends got married. His family grew up in Marceline, which is where he's from. So it's all part of the lore here. So that's what I was thinking when I was in Disney. I was like, I can't believe all this began here. And he
Right, in
just,
Marceline. Right. Coming to see you, Joe. Coming one day. Yeah.
yeah,
Haven't done it yet. It's on my list.
yeah, absolutely. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day. One of the kids is
Okay.
curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
I create marketing that leaves a legacy companies and individuals.
So, what did you want to be when you were in the third grade? What was your dream? What was your vision?
I was waiting for the third grade follow-up question. Like
Well,
hands up in the air.
yeah.
So it's funny when I was on my second Disney trip when I was 6 years old, and we were waiting for the monorail, and I decided this feels like home. I'm going to work here one day. Says no 6 year old. And that was my dream. Like I was just like, that's what I'm going to do. And there are some other like fleeting things that I thought over time, I don't know, maybe I'm going to study Spanish and communications and I'll be the bilingual, anchor in San Antonio for their for their newscast. I don't
Right.
know. But it
Sure.
always came back to Disney. And
Wow.
so I had the good fortune of being hooked up with Disney when I was finishing up college and I worked for them for a couple months for free and they set up job interviews at the end of it because they didn't pay me anything. So they paid me in setting up interviews for me. And then I moved down with everything I could fit in my Honda Civic and I rented a room by the week until I got my job at Disney. I was not going to leave.
Wow. So, take me back to your childhood. You talked about Pennsylvania. What were some of the more foundational elements that have helped you with your marketing prowess and making an indelible mark for your clients?
Yep. So actually, I grew up in Indianapolis,
Okay.
and it's that Midwest work ethic,
Yeah.
right? You just work incredibly hard. You don't do it because you want to be seen. You do it because that's just what you do. Like that's just you and your brand, right? But I have lived many different places: Indianapolis, Orlando, Philly area, DC area. It was like a slow crawl back down the 95 corridor to get back down here again. Yeah.
Who's been a hero? Who's been that inspiration for you in your life?
Ooh, I've had so many. Like I was thinking about this today. It's funny that you bring this up. I was thinking about this today. I've had some really great bosses, and I've had some really not so great bosses. One of my great bosses, she said to me my first day, she said, Sheila, think about these two things and tell me the answers in a couple days. How do you like to be recognized? Is it on a public stage? Is it just a quiet, handwritten note or an email? Like what is recognition to you that's meaningful? And then the other one is, what are your boundaries? Like, what do you need from a work-life balance standpoint? And that's different for everyone. And so anyone that I've had as a member on my team, I ask them those two questions and I give them a couple days to give me the answer. Some people want a trophy and they want to be called out in a meeting, and other people would be mortified
Yeah.
by being in the spotlight, right? So you got to know, right? Because that's your job as a leader, to really like motivate people and recognize and share the successes. But if you do it in a way that's a big party fail for them, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And then the same is boundary. I had a guy on my team. He's like, I didn't tell you this, but I'm a yoga instructor and I've got almost an hour long commute. I got to leave by X amount of time on every Wednesday. And I go, okay, great. No meetings after 3 o'clock. Okay, perfect. Done. Right. It's also really meaningful to know the really bad bosses so you can say, never do this because I know how it feels, right? And I'm not going to do that to someone else. So I've had many, many heroes in my career. And I think about that. Sometimes I think about what would Tom do? What would Laura do in this
Yep.
situation?
It's interesting, we're talking about Disney and the nostalgia of that land in Orlando. And when I went in 85, the hotel I was staying at, they were unraveling that new Coke thing. And that was a really big marketing push that flopped. It just, no one wanted it. It was
It
really,
hit.
really bad. And I only say that because you've been in the middle of marketing in your career. What's been one of the best marketing campaigns that that you've admired that's been out there?
Okay, so actually I worked on it, but I tell you what, like no one's replicated this and I can't believe they haven't. So when we were launching the Disney Visa credit card
Yeah.
and building a loyalty program from scratch, because the card, you were going to earn Disney Dream Reward dollars at the time. Now they simplified it to just Disney dollars, but you're earning Disney Dream Reward dollars to redeem to go on Disney trips, right? Stay at the hotels, go on a cruise, buy your tickets, whatever, right? Shop at Disney. And we knew that we needed to get the attention of people, and so we did a couple things strategically. One, we had a pre-registration campaign, and we said, "Psst, there's a Disney secret," and there was this art, and it was like Mickey Mouse with this little glove carrying this little briefcase with a big lock on it. And we were like, announcing coming soon, right? You have to pre-register with your email address. We captured email addresses. And then we said, if you apply for the card within the first window of time, which we called it day one, but it was really a few weeks in March, then you will have day one on your credit card that's embossed on your credit card as long as you keep the account open.
Wow.
And then if you got the card in the first year, it would say charter card member underneath your name on the card. And then we trained all the Disney cast members to recognize and go, oh, Joe, that's amazing. What, you're a day one Disney Visa card member and you're a charter card member? Well, that's amazing. Congratulations, right? So it's
Yeah.
that recognition, like I'm seeing, and I feel validated, right? That I'm a passionate, Disney enthusiast, right? And to this day, so the card launched in, oh God, I want to say 2003.
Yeah.
And to this day, people will not close their account
Wow.
because if they close it, they don't get day one back. They don't get charter card member back. Like, talk about being sticky. And by the
Totally.
way, it was free for us. It
Yeah.
didn't cost us anything to do
Yeah.
that. We just had to negotiate with Visa because they had never put day one on the card and they
Yeah.
haven't since.
Wow.
So, talk about a marketing strategy,
Yep.
right? I- I'm going to get this number wrong, but I want to say something like 100,000 people applied for the card on the first day.
Wow. That's wild.
And you could have card programs and it could take years to build 100,000
Yeah.
people, right? And I think we hit 2 million within the first 5 years of the card, probably less. So for me, that was it. That was a huge success. And again, I'm surprised that no one else has tried to replicate that strategy.
Yeah. So if you had a dream tonight, run into that younger version of you that's just determined to follow this dream of getting to Orlando and Disney and this life that you envision, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained along the way, what advice would you impart on that young version?
Don't stay in some of your jobs as long as you did.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that we all, and it wasn't because it was comfortable, it was because it was looking for the next best thing. And I took a couple laterals, especially when I was at Bank One, JPMorgan Chase, because I was there for 17 years. So sometimes, you kind of like zig in order to move, right? But there were times to where I feel like I stayed too long because I was waiting for perfect, and sometimes there isn't perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your favorite ride at Disney? What's your favorite attraction?
Guardians of the Galaxy right now is
We
my
did
ride.
that. We
It
did
is
that.
the technology is amazing
Crazy. Crazy. Like,
and brilliant. That's the thing is that I'm so enchanted by people and the level of creativity
yeah,
and then the wherewithal to figure out how to execute on that. It blows my mind. And so I like that. I mean, it just opens up your mind to go, holy crap, if you can do that, then like what else can you do?
I know. And it used to just be the ride, you know. I remember when we used to have this like 360-degree view like they have at Epcot where you can see everything and your body kind of wobbles around and you're looking at landscapes. But it's gotten to that point with these rides. Like I remember getting in that chamber and they give you your directives and then you go to the next place and then you go to the next place and then you get to pick your music and then you get on this crazy ride. It's
Right?
like the level of depth is crazy that they're doing this at.
It's amazing. And row nine is where it's at.
Yeah.
So for when you go back, because row nine, you think
Okay.
you're in the back,
Yeah.
but then when it turns, you're in the front.
That's it. That's exactly it. What a metaphor. So, of everything that you've done and accomplished, these dreams that you've gone after that you've achieved, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
My
Yeah.
business now. And Joe, I was not sitting around thinking, I'm gonna start my own consulting business. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I've been in corporate America. I did a little bit of tech startup early on, but for the most part, I've been in the safety of corporate America. I say safety loosely. And um I didn't expect to run my business, but I love it. And I I just decide I want to do cool things with cool people. That's it. And when I consult with folks and I talk with a potential client, I'm thinking in my head, wow, do I want to work with you? Does this sound like something I want to dig my teeth into? I might have to fire you later because you're not going to be a cool client, right?
Yeah.
Like are you in or are you out, right? And I've just built my business on my superpowers, and there are things that I've done throughout my career that other businesses need.
Yeah.
So for me, that's incredibly gratifying, but it's also incredibly frightening. It is like being an entrepreneur, because I started a year and a half ago. It's being on a roller coaster, right? And I'm trying to figure out how to make the highs not as high and the lows not as
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
But it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone around you, but you run the show. What's
Yeah.
your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Ooh, I'm creative. I'm strategic. I'm results oriented and data driven. So it's always data first, right?
Yeah.
I'm a connector. I like connecting people to each other, right? Oh, Joe, you should meet so and so, right? I connect brands. I worked in partnership marketing for a long time. I connect ideas, right? Um, and I have a really high, what Gallup would call woo. And woo is that sort of like when I first meet someone, it's the win others over kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that has served me well, I would say.
So is clearly being a Disney fan, and we have a connection here in Kansas City because of Walt being from Marceline, and his first studio was down off 31st and Troost. If you could go back in the lineage and timeline of when Walt left Kansas City to build this dream theme park in California that expanded to Orlando, In the whole timeline and history of everything that Disney's done, if you could get into a time machine and go back and ride that ride or see that attraction for the very first time, where are you going on that timeline?
You know what? I think I'd want to see the Disney fireworks at the park for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up in Indianapolis, we had decent fireworks for 4th of July, right? Like we drove down Washington Street to Washington Square Mall and watch them. But Disney fireworks, they're off the charts, right? And the
Yeah.
syncing of the music. And now these days they've got the projection on the castle and whatever, which wasn't there for a long time. But I
Uh,
think seeing Disney fireworks for the very, very first time and being in awe of the magnitude of just the energy and the magic, right? Which you can't put your finger on, but you know it
oh
is,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Feeling that would be amazing.
Well, and you get to see that all the time. That's the thing. That dream gets to just explode every day for you.
I know. I love it. I love it. I love it. I can hear the train whistle from the Magic Kingdom. I can hear the boat ferry horn.
Yeah.
I can sometimes hear the water pageant music at night when the wind is just right. I mean, it's everything that I wanted. And I'm door to door like 15 minutes. So if
Yeah,
I go, you
sure.
know what? I'm going to log off at 5, shut down my laptop, and I'll just go into Epcot and listen to a concert. First concert tonight's at 5:30. Okay, great.
That's great. I didn't realize how many concerts. Like I saw a couple of different bands that were playing, and it was wild. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So if anyone out there wants to learn more about you, reach out, any of the good business in your world, where's the best place for them to go?
So they can go to butlermg.com. It stands for Butler Marketing Group. Or Sheila at butlermg.com. Yeah, and I'm happy to do a 20-minute free consultation and talk about like where do they need help around brand transformation because it's, an evolving company or they've acquired new businesses, right? Or it's a personal, I've been doing a lot of personal branding lately. People are at crossroads. Loyalty program design and optimization, marketing strategy, fractional CMO work, all that kind of stuff. So happy to talk with folks and see how I can grow, evolve, and transform their business.
This has been wonderful, Sheila. Thank you so much. It's so great to see people achieve their dreams. So keep dreaming, as I know you will.
Yeah. It's great to meet you, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.